Hello, everyone. Welcome to this session, Putting Data FinOps into Practice. My name is Chris Allen, Director of Demand Generation at Unravel Data, and I'm joined today by Dave Berry, Principal Solutions Engineer at Unravel. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about how DataOps and FinOps are on the rise, and how AI and machine learning can really augment FinOps to empower your data teams. We're also going to explore why augmented data FinOps is becoming increasingly important. We're going to cover some of the FinOps challenges in 2023 and the phases of the data FinOps lifecycle. We're also going to go through who are the key players and discuss the benefits of augmented data FinOps. And of course, we're going to show you how Unravel can bring your teams together. So we'll leave some time at the end for Q&A. So feel free to ask any questions you may have. So DataOps and FinOps are two really hot topics in the industry right now. DataOps is all about helping organizations make data-driven decisions faster and more confidently. And it really does this by providing a unified view of data across the entire organization. And ensuring that data is accurate, it's up to date, and it's secure. On the other hand, FinOps is all about cloud financial management. It's all about enabling executives and finance and business and engineering teams to have a consistent view of cloud spending and to make data-driven decisions about how to optimize cloud operations and really maximize ROI. So to implement FinOps for data applications and pipelines, data teams really need to have fine-grained visibility into costs by user, by workload, and by product. And this really allows them to understand where is the money going. It helps them track budgets, identify wastes and inefficiencies, and really optimize their cloud operations. You see, observability for data apps is very different from observability for web applications. So APM tools that work for web apps won't work for data observability because basically they don't give data teams the visibility they need to understand how data is flowing between the data stack layers and the condition or quality of the data as it moves. So observing these data applications and pipelines really requires capturing different types of telemetry data on a more granular level, visualizing all this information in a context that makes sense to different data team members, and doing a completely different analysis to really understand and fix the issues. So if we think about what is augmented FinOps and how does it relate to AI and machine learning? So it's actually a really interesting concept. You know how AI is being used more and more in our daily lives? You think about, from voice assistants to automated trading system. Well, it's also being used to really improve the efficiency of data stacks through augmented data FinOps. And what does that mean exactly? Basically, augmented FinOps is all about using AI to make things easier for data teams. So by automating certain processes or tasks, data teams can spend a lot less time troubleshooting and more time creating new applications that drive business value. So it's a really exciting development in the world of data management. And if you think about the benefits of augmented FinOps, is that it allows teams to be much more efficient and effective. They have all these AI tools at their disposal, and data teams can now discover information, quickly and collaborate a lot easier and solve problems more effectively. It's really amazing how much these new technologies are transforming the way we work. So just like AI is changing the game in other industries, it's now making its way into the world of data management. So what exactly are the benefits? Well, as data teams leverage the power of AI tools, as I mentioned, they're spending less time fixing problems and more time creating or adding value to the business. So overall, Augmented FinOps is a really exciting development that's opening up these kind of new possibilities for data management. And it's combining the latest of AI and machine learning with the best practices of FinOps, which allows us to really create a truly uh, new approach to data management that's both powerful and effective. So why do we need data FinOps? So as most organizations that have started to run a lot of data applications and pipelines in the cloud, it's really easy for things to get really expensive, really, really fast. And it's not unusual to see monthly budget overruns of even to 40% or more, or for companies to have burned through their 3-year data cloud budget by early in year 2. So cloud bills are usually an organization's biggest IT expense. And the massive size of data workloads is really driving most of the cloud bill. So most companies are really feeling kind of ambushed by their monthly cloud bills. And simply understanding where the money's going is a major challenge, let alone, figuring out where and how to rein in the costs and keep them under managed. Consequently, what we're seeing is that cloud migration projects and modernization initiatives are stalling. Plans to scale up usage of modern platforms are hitting a wall. So as data becomes increasingly important to businesses, data teams are really facing some pretty significant challenges. One of the biggest is visibility. It can be really tough to figure out what you're actually spending on the cloud and how to forecast that spend. Another challenge is then kind of optimizing complex dependencies within these pipelines. So with all of these different components that need to work together, it can be really, really difficult to know how to improve performance and efficiency. And let's not forget about governance. So governing cloud spend is not easy at all, especially with hundreds of different services and instance types to choose from on AWS alone. All of this complexity makes it very difficult to define what good looks like. And it leads organizations going over budget by an average of 13%. And cloud spend is expected to increase by 29% in 2023. So these challenges are only going to become more pressing for data teams. So who are the key people involved in Data FinOps? So capacity and budget forecasting becomes this guessing game. There's a general lack of individual accountability for waste of cloud resources. It's basically the Wild West. Everybody's just spinning up instances left and right, and there's not enough governance or manage over how cloud resources are being used. So you think of the Data FinOps lifecycle as a framework that empowers your team to make better decisions and achieve more, right? So by following this approach, you gain visibility into your cloud environment. It really allows you to understand where the money's going and what's happening with these workloads. This visibility gives you the information you need to optimize your cloud usage, to identify patterns of waste, to remove these inefficiencies, and in essence, to improve performance. So by going beyond optimization and embracing governance, you can really start to become proactive in your approach to problem solving. So this means that you can actually automate guardrails and enable self-service optimization, which really allows individual team members to make better decisions without requiring extensive expertise. So as you follow the data FinOps lifecycle, you create this cycle of continuous improvement and empowerment for individual team members. This is not only does this really help you manage costs, but it also enhances collaboration across teams and departments. Ultimately, this approach really shifts accountability for managing costs and ensures that everyone has a stake in hitting SLAs and driving business value. So with Unravel, Data FinOps teams have this single view of their progress, and they're consistently achieving their goals and targets. And managing costs in the cloud can be really, really challenging, especially when it comes to understanding who's spending what and where. Cloud billing consoles and cost management tools provide only a aggregated view of total spend on various services, and they don't go into the specifics of which applications are running, who's submitting them, or which data sets are being used. So to address this issue, many companies they're using cost allocation tagging taxonomy to really track resource usage. Unravel can easily adopt an existing tagging system or help implement a new one. So by capturing and correlating granular details in real time, we can enable organizations to track actual spend versus budget. We can identify these big spenders, and we can understand these trends and patterns that we're talking about. And then we can even implement precise chargebacks and showbacks, and which allows us to forecast capacity with confidence. This level of visibility and control really helps companies prevent budget overruns and make informed decisions about their cloud usage. And at the same time, this empowers the individual team members to really take ownership of cost management. So during the optimization phase of the FinOps lifecycle, you can use data to eliminate waste and inefficiencies, and you can find cost-effective instance types without sacrificing SLAs. So while most cost management solutions can only identify idle clusters, we actually go beyond that to provide these AI-powered insights to enable self-service optimization. So our machine learning and algorithms, you can really get deeper understanding of application profiles and identify the resources that are actually needed to run them. And reducing costs reactively is great, but controlling them proactively is even better. And AI and automation are crucial for managing the thousands of constantly changing cost optimization opportunities. Here at Unravel, our automated guardrails and proactive alerts help avoid these budget overruns and the SLA violations. And we're basically enabling non-expert engineers to make these expert level optimizations via this self-service. So the governance phase of the FinOps lifecycle really deals with getting ahead of these cost issues before they happen. And we're empowering individual users, giving them these capabilities, these automatic alerts, and even corrective actions, making it the next best thing to self-healing AI ops. And with that, I'll pass on to you, Dave. who will walk us through how Unravel can help understand what's really going on with your cloud platforms. On to you, Dave.
Yeah, so thanks a lot for that, Chris. But yeah, I'm just going to take a couple of minutes to go over what Unravel is and how we capture this level of data and how this can really help with all of these current problems that are going on across all the different companies of really understanding that cost allocation, that breakdown of what is really going on with your cloud platforms, not just at a high level of this is my cloud bill, but understanding this platform is costing me exactly this much money. These are the users that are actually creating these costs, and this is exactly what they've done to create these costs. Can we benefit those users in any way to understand how they can look at optimizing their workloads to make sure that they're bringing those prices back down into what is the allocated amounts, and really just having an understanding. So here you can see in Unravel, this is one of our Databricks examples, but you can really start to understand that we can look at the prices for all of the different workspaces across all the different user base. You can change these filters and tags to be looking at this and pivot this data however you see fit. But really, this is taking all of that individual job level granular data that we collect, combining that up so that we can start to get a view of each user and their cloud spend. So this is a really great way for teams to actually just have a living chargeback model where it's constantly being updated. There's no need to come in at the end of the month and try and calculate these and work it all out. You can just come in at any time. We can obviously set alerting up, send these reports out as well. So it just really helps with that transition into understanding the cost across the platform and really being able to cross-charge different BUs. It's something that a lot of our customers are really heavily using at the moment. And then if we actually look at some of the budget tracking that we can do in Unravel as well, this is really, really helpful for a lot of different teams, especially those that are newer to the cloud and really just onboarding lots and lots of new projects, weekly, monthly, whatever it might be, even daily in some cases. So this is just a great way of being able to set up logical buckets of resource pool. So you're not looking at your entire DBU commit. So let's say we've committed to 1 million DBUs, but then I want to break that down and I can start looking at, okay, my finance team, they're going to be allocated out 200 DBUs just for this small little project that they're running. But what I want to understand is, are they on track to utilize that resource pool correctly? Or in this example, are they actually at risk and they're going to overconsume what they estimated was going to be their capacity for this project to go live? And this is just a really easy way of being able to get ahead of the problem and identifying anyone that is at risk or in some of these cases exceeded their budget pools already, and really making sure that we can just do automated alerting, let those user bases know, and then they can go through and use the optimize features in Unravel to actually bring down those cluster costs and make sure that their applications are running as effectively and efficiently as possible. So that takes us through to what is the inefficiencies that we capture within Unravel. And as I say, this is be monitoring every single job that is run across the whole platform. So we start to identify potential bottlenecks that can live inside these applications. And you can see here that we sort of group them by what we classify as events. And this is where you can start looking at things like contented drivers, data skew, high GC events, high IO events, inefficient join conditions, poorly partitioned data, lots and lots of different types of recommendations in here. And then there's obviously a big one as well, which is actually a node downsizing event. And that is where I identified that the application was just run on a job cluster that was bigger than it needed to be. So really simple to change and really, really cost effective of just making sure that each application is running on the most optimal hardware possible, tailored for that job. And then, as we say, anything that we can actually do to optimize the performance and runtime of that application as well, starting to look into things like all the different partitioning. So have you got these inefficient join conditions because you're not joining across the correct partitions in the table? So really being able to help you out on the side as well. And then obviously some of the other things, there's lots of recurring pipelines that run on sort of a Databricks as an example here. And this is where we can really monitor them over time. So you want to understand if there's any fluctuation and variance going on that daily job. So here we can just really quickly and easily understand, is there a big drop or increase in my duration of the runtime of this application? If so, very quickly we can understand, okay, it ran for twice as long, but it consumed twice as much data. So that's probably an expected result. But we can start to flag variances and like the ad hoc liars where the duration went for 3 times as long, but it did no more read write. What happened here? And then we can get into Unravel and really understand what caused that variance, what caused that bottleneck in there. Was it a huge network delay, some remote data reading that actually caused that problem, or was there some underlying actual issue with some of the Spark stages in the application? And then Unravel can take you through to understanding the exact problem. And then lastly, I just wanted to give you this bit of a dashboard that we've got into Unravel as well. And this is where we look at the insights overview, and we can really start to understand a very high level picture of a summary of everything that we put in Unravel. So this is where we can start looking at the breakdown, how many all-purpose clusters we're using, how many job clusters we're using, how many of those actually had recommendations to directly save money. So this is just really how many of those cluster runs could have been run on a smaller instance. Obviously, in our very small demo environment, it's a very small number, but scale this out to the real world examples that we see with our customer base, and this turns into a really dramatic number that you can't ignore. But some of the other things that are really helpful here is being able to group the different users, as we saw earlier in the chargeback screens, where we can actually start saying, okay, this BU was my most expensive BU. Maybe I want to go and look into, is that an expected result, or is there something we can go in there and do? And then if I don't want to look at it on a group level, I can come in and start looking at actually who was my top consumer of DBUs as an individual user. So if we can ignore some service accounts and I want to actually come in and see which of my ad hoc users has come in and cost the most money, not necessarily a bad thing. It's not about finger pointing. It's just being able to identify who that is. And then you can verify what their applications were doing. Can they be more effective? If so, let's use Unravel to help tune them. But it's a really helpful way of just understanding who that user could be. And then we do start to break this out into how many of your applications had recommendations that would make the resource more efficient, and how many of them could actually be sped up with app acceleration recommendations as well. So obviously, the idea of this is to drive as many of these numbers down to 0 or as close to 0 as physically possible, but really being able to utilize Unravel's benefit to showcase this. So more than happy for doing deeper demo sessions, and we would love you to and encourage you to come over to the booth and do that with us. But yeah, thank you very much. I will now have some time for any Q&A. But yeah, thanks to you all. Thanks to Chris. Yeah, and thanks from me.